Right, it's time for business, and Sandra Feno has joined me. So your top story has to do with the Afrobeam Parameter Survey.
Yes, I want to ask you a question. Yeah. What do you feel about or you think about the economy?
What do I think about the economy? I haven't done any such survey, but if the CDD has conducted that survey, who am I to dispute?
Okay, so you don't feel anything, but they have some answers for us, and that's what we'll be talking about today in business. I am Sandra Esinam Afen. The latest Afrobarometer report by the the Ghana Center for Democratic Development (CDD) has shown majority of Ghanaians think the economy is heading in the wrong direction. The survey carried out from September 16 to 3rd October sampled about 24,000 Ghanaians' views.
The survey was carried out from September 16 to October 3, 2019, and it sampled about 2,400 Ghanaians in the country. 54% of the Ghanaians sampled were optimistic about economic conditions getting better in the next 12 months, whilst 30% described it as fairly good. 4 out of every 10 Ghanaians also say their personal living conditions have improved. The negative perception about the country's economic conditions and citizens' personal living conditions are somewhat widespread across all social demographic groups, but it is stronger among rural residents and the less educated than urbanites and the highly educated. When it came to government's performance on the economy, majority of the sampled sites described it as very bad. The survey also showed that government's approval ratings on economic indicators have declined sharply compared to 2018, with management of the economy having the steepest drop by 20%.
Director at CDD Ghana, Dr. Kojo Asante, has been throwing more light on this report in an interview with George Yafe.
This is an Afrobarometer question that always, I think, confounds everybody. Whether Ghanaians are internal optimists, we don't know. But every time they say they evaluate the economy as either going the wrong direction or the country going in the wrong direction. If you ask them that in the next 12 months, do they believe that things will get better, they're always positive. So that's a good thing, because it means that people are not fatalistic about current situation. They expect that something good might happen. You know that with perception survey, it's very difficult to dig deep into what directs. We have done analysis before to see if religion is a driver, but none of those things are proving so. So it's still, for me, I'm always confounded by that particular finding.
For policymakers, and looking at how widespread this survey was, what are you expecting to be their response? Is it in terms of policy response, in terms of ensuring that they have to tweak things a little bit to ensure that confidence pick up? Because when you have confidence, then again your response in terms of tax measures and all the rest will change.
There were many findings that for me, I think it raises some interesting questions about government policy. So if you get the findings on how government is doing on reducing the income gap, how government is doing on employment, for instance, and so on, which are all poor ratings, is it that government policy is yet to translate into sort of the kind of benefits that we expect, or the policy design or the policy implementation itself has to be looked at again?
In other news tonight, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has called on commercial banks in the country to focus on investing in initiatives that will promote the Sustainable Development Goals. He indicated the world is moving towards programs that seek to promote green economies, and Ghana cannot be left out. The Vice President was speaking during a launch of the Sustainable Banking Principles and Sector Guidelines for the country.
There have been calls for financial institutions to support government's initiative to eliminate the risk of climate change. The Bank of Ghana's document on the sustainable environment for banks is aimed at guiding financial institutions in funding infrastructural projects that will preserve the environment. According to the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Ghana cannot be left out in the global drive towards a green economy.
It is clear that a lot of work has taken place. This has been a lot of work, and we are now being aligned to the global standards so that Ghana is, because as you can see, the thinking now is about climate change. That is the thinking, and money is only going to move to places which take climate change into account and sustainable banking principles into account. So if you are outside the loop, you will soon be basically sidelined. We cannot be outside the loop. This is why this is so important.
It revealed that crises related to climate change can affect financial stability.
There is no doubt that environmental risk and risk arising from climate change in particular constitutes a significant systemic risk for the financial sector. Such fundamental changes in the environment could affect economic and financial stability and the safety and soundness of financial firms, with clear potential implications for central banks.
Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, spoke on the importance of the guidelines.
Responsible banking practices will have to ensure that environmental and social risks associated with projects financed by banks are well managed. For banks to remain sustainable over the long term, it is important that their own internal operations and financing activities meet the present needs of economic agents today, while not compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The Bank of Ghana, therefore, recognizes environmental and social risk management as key components of banks' overall risk management strategy.
The Ghana Bankers Association declared its support for the initiative. Eben Sabute's report for Joy Business.
Meanwhile, President of the Ghana Association of Bankers, Al-Hassan Adane, has been reacting to some new policy measures instituted by the Bank of Ghana, including a dedicated lending to small businesses.
For us is just to try and get the Bank of Ghana to help us drive further efficiencies into the banking sector. Yes, we have had some cleanup. So once we've cleaned up, how do we work to ensure that we are actually deploying risk funds in a manner that is going to support the economy? You know, and we will talk about some of the capital requirements directives, because there's one thing, cleaning up. Then another thing, when you have tightened up the capital controls in such a way that the banks are unable to release enough or have enough capital to support the risk book. So we'll be having conversations around what we call the capital risk requirements directives, which is to manage the overall risk book. And also, as I said, generally, we will want to be driving efficiencies. See the Bank of Ghana to help us drive efficiencies through the banking system.
How committed is the Bankers Association to this whole push? One, the bit about the reserves that you're supposed to give out to small businesses. Some are saying that, listen, as a bank, allow me, I will determine where I want to lend, depending on my book.
No, let's be clear. In terms of reducing the reserving requirement, the the Ghana Association of Bankers have been talking to the Bank of Ghana over the last 2 years. So it's a move in the right direction. It releases more funds for us to continue to do what we are doing. Already we are lending to SMEs, but the 2% release on the capital will just enhance what we are doing. So it's not just the 2 billion that will be available for SMEs. It will only augment what we've already been doing. And we will be looking at other industry cleanup measures that will make it, because what you want is quality assets. When you make out loans, you want the loans to be repaid so you can revolve it to another person. So we'll be working with the courts, we'll be working with all sorts of structures, the Lands Commission, to ensure that we can have a much more robust credit environment.
On that note, we wrap up for the first part of business. I will be back after 8 p.m. with more business news.